the way, you really see the effects of social media, because somebody just sent me yesterday a post. Oh, davening for a thing all the way 2 weeks ago, where it went viral. He just got it today.
I hear. Yeah.
Landau, do you need like a secretary to handle all these groups and chats?
You have no idea. First of all, the WhatsApp statuses got out of control. It takes me an hour to go through the WhatsApp statuses.
So
and that's not even talking about the groups.
I've never checked the WhatsApp status. Why do you have to do that?
That's
I know my customers, no?
It has a dot. When it has a dot next to a thing, I have to see it. I have to open it up.
We need to get you more activities to do.
I'm sorry. Bathroom.
Are you a teenage girl that needs to go through everyone's status?
They don't need anybody to wash the Hatzalah ambulance?
Yeah, no, they don't let me do that anymore after the last incident. Whatever. Judge says I can't talk about it.
The whole millions law thing.
What's up with Simon? He hasn't been here for 2 days. Anybody know?
By the way, what daf is today's daf?
No.
Mem Zayin.
It's the most important daf in all of Shas.
Yes, it is.
So you're finishing Kira today.
It's the first daf for the rest of your life.
Yaakov says that every day.
Yep. Today there is something that's very halacha l'maisa. I can't say it's so important. Unless you're into Lego. If you're into Lego, then maybe.
Oh, my kids are into Lego like.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. So to Chaza from yesterday.
Okay.
Right, Daf Memvav discussed menorahs that have pieces and grooves, and the question of Yochanan from the wheel of the wagon. And then Rebbe said something in the Yuspera, and we weren't sure what it was. We had a take on that. Right? Then we're paskening like Rabbi Yehuda to show cover for Rabbi Yochanan. Muktza because it's disgusting, right? We discussed muktza machmas miyas. And then we said Rabbi Shimon even then would say it's not muktza because you can be used to cover a pot. And then we said the difference between that and rocks from the street, right? So rocks from the street are not a kli, so therefore you wouldn't be able to use them unless you specified it before Shabbos. That was Amud Aleph. Amud Beis is the difference between a mum, like a mum of an animal, and other muktzah, and then the difference between a neder and a mum, like meaning does a person have in his head that a kohen, that a chacham would come to be mated a neder. And then we discussed why Reb Shimon doesn't allow a candle that's lit to be moved, even though it's without kavanah, right? Because Reb Shimon holds that something that's done without kavanah is not a problem on Shabbos. And we said that the reason why you're not allowed to move a lit candle, even according to Reb Shimon, is because the light itself, the flame and the oil and the wick are all muktza because you can't touch them, right? And therefore, everything else is a basis, right? It's a base to that. Yeah. Okay. So that was the chazorah from yesterday, and now we're ready to go with today. So, second line down, Mem Zayin Amud Aleph. Yeah. So Amar Rav Zera, Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rav Yochanan, Amar Rav Chanina, Amar Ravi Rumnis. Right, Ravi Rumnis. That's an interesting name. You don't see that too often in Shas. Right. So then he says, Li hit the Rebbe letaltal machta be'efra. Rebbe allowed me to take a machta. A machta is basically, I don't know, Parrots, you have one of these type of contraptions for your barbecues. It's like a shovel that has a cover on it that you can put ashes or coals in it and bring them over from one place to another.
A lot of fireplace things have it.
Oh,
like
that's that thing that has the cover?
Yeah.
Ah, very good. So. Very good. Oh, so you got a fireplace.
Yeah.
So it's an incense pan, you know.
By the way, Parrots is the only shul in Farakwa that has a fireplace in the shul. I'm just letting you know, whenever his shul reopens, he's got a fireplace in the shul. Yeah.
And now we have a flat screen TV as well. So.
Oh, okay. That part I didn't know about. We got it. Now you're really gonna have a big crowd.
The shilas, can I use it as a
Yaakov, we got to revamp the membership, baby.
Yeah.
The question is if you can get a tax exempt with your show.
Yeah.
Can you use the TV as like a photo thing to go on Shabbos? You know what I mean?
Why not? You should put the davening on the screen.
Put one of those modem signs. You know those modem Rabbanan signs.
No, actually, I have a good one. No talking. I'm going to put a no talking.
You put and if you talk, you go into the fireplace.
By the way, I got a collection notice from them. They're desperate for money to shush no talking during davening. They haven't had anybody contributing to their fund in the last few
Very
weeks.
good, Terrence.
I think they got a good rap. Nobody's talking in davening now.
Very good. Very good.
All right. Parents, you better stop talking about the shul. Rocky comes in, up behind you, you're gonna be in big trouble.
By the way, we just saw it tonight. That's why I had the mask on. So Mazel Tov, I just did the thing. So we're done.
Did what thing?
I refinanced, so now the shul is officially.
I hear you. Okay, well, hopefully the item will use the shul b'karev.
Oh man.
Okay, legally. Okay. Anyways, so Ruminus said that Rebbe allowed him to take this fireplace piece of metal with ashes in it, and he allowed him to carry it. Yeah. So the question, what's the chiddush? So because the ashes, right? The ashes are muktza, right? Because what are you gonna do with that on Shabbos? Yeah. But the thing that carries it, this I don't know what the English word for it. Coal pan?
A coal pan.
A who?
A sensor.
Okay, whatever it is, this pan that you carry, this shovel or whatever it is that you carry the coals in, so that itself is mutter, right? That you can that's a kli, right? But Rebbe allowed him to move it because of the kli. The kli part is not muksa, even though the ashes in it are muksa, right? So he allowed him to do that. Right? So did Rabbi Yochanan say this? Well, now we have a Mishna. Right? This is a Gemara way later that a person is allowed to carry his son if the son has a rock in his hand, or a kalkola, or a basket, and there's a stone in the basket. The only way you're allowed to hold a basket that has a rock in it is if it also has fruits in it. Right, but if it doesn't have fruits in it, then you can't. We'll get to that in a minute. Time of the ispaperi. The reason why you'd be allowed to carry the basket is because with the rock in it is because there's also fruits in it. Hales paperi, loy. So if there's no peris in it, then you would not be able to carry it. Why? Because if a basket only has a rock in it, a rock is muksa, and the basket is the basis, is the base for the rock. So therefore, just like the rock's muksa, so the basket's also muksa. If the basket has fruit in it, so then it's a basis ledavar heter and ledavar iser, meaning it's a base for the fruit and a base for the rock. So therefore, it does not take on the muksa status because we can say that it's a base for the fruit more than it is for the rock. But if there's only a rock in there, you wouldn't be allowed to carry it. That's what Rabbi Yochanan said. But here he claims that Rebbe said that you would be allowed to carry ashes in this kli, in this utensil, and it's not a muksa issue, right? So it's a stira. So the Gemara says, Ishtaimim kasha chada. He was like startled or quiet for like an hour, right? Meaning it took him, this question, this stira took him by surprise. But then he says, V'amar hachanami disbakartin. Here we're talking about where within the ashes were little pieces of wood, right? Sometimes you have, it's not really a wood, I'm sorry. It's more like incense. There was still some incense that wasn't burned up with the ashes, and therefore that incense is not muksa, because you could smell it on Shabbos. And since there were some incense left, so there was incense in it and there was ashes in it, so it's no different than carrying a basket with a fruit and a rock, which is mutter.
Isn't this incense irrelevant? That little, that's so little.
No, but if you could, since it's using it for the smell, so then therefore it's, even if it's a little bit, but it's gonna be okay. But the Gemara really gonna ask, I think what you're asking is gonna be the Gemara's next kasha. Yeah?
Basis applies. When is basis apply? When it's right, when it's not. Meaning if it's so little, then
basis basically you go with whatever is
chashuv?
Worth more, yeah. Whatever's more chashuv.
The what? So these.
Yeah, but you see, but here you're only comparing it to ashes. So anything, it's not going to take much to be more chashuv than ashes, right? If you have the rock, and the rock, maybe if you have an expensive rock, so then maybe you need the fruit to be more chashuv than the rock. But ashes, you don't need much in order for it to be more chashuv, right? But then the Gemara asks, Amar Abaye, Kartin be Rebbe Micha Shivi. So since Rebbe was the one that said this, now Rebbe was a very wealthy person, so our kartin, these, like you asked, like you have these little little pieces of incense, is that choshev to Rebbe that would be considered, that would make it not muktza to carry? And if you're going to say, well, it doesn't have to be fitting for Rebbe, as an ani would gladly take it. But Tanya, no, we have a brisa that says big day aniyim laniyim, big day ashirim lashirim. Clothing for aniyim is you base it on what aniyim would want, and clothing for ashirim is for ashirim, meaning the size of clothing that would become tameh. Right, it has nothing to do with Shabbos, it has to do with tumah. So big day aniyim, so 3 by 3, 3 fingers by 3 fingers would be considered chashuv for ani, like he could patch his clothing with that. But an ashir would need clothing of shloisha, which is 3 tvachim by 3 tvachim, which is obviously a lot bigger, right? So each one goes.
What is the leftover granule, whatever this incense? What, even if it's leftover incense and it's useful, what is it useful for on Shabbos?
Smell, I thought.
Don't you?
No?
Oh, you could. But I'm saying, don't they burn this stuff?
I figured it smells even if you don't.
You're saying just the smell,
it.
and you're able to move it.
I'm assuming. I don't know. Maybe it's a chassidus. The Rebbes all smell Svardim too. No. Yeah. Smell some middle of the Suda. Maybe that's for that. Right?
It's not before Kiddush.
Before Kiddush, they do it.
I do it a lot of times before.
Yeah. Okay, so that's maybe they would do that with this. Anyway, so the Gemara says, "Vatanya, big day aniyim laniyim, big day ashirim laashirim. Aval daniyim laashirim loy, but aniyim can't go with ashirim." So the Gemara is saying, just like it's subjective by Tumah, it's going to be subjective by Hilchos Shabbos too. So therefore, Rebbe was saying over this halacha, and even if you're going to say that there were these little pieces of incense in it, that's not going to be enough to eliminate the muktza of the utensil, of the shovel. Elam Rabaya. So Abai says a different answer. Mididava graf shel, which happens to be, I'm sorry, Yeshua Marchik, this one is an important one, okay? It's by graf shel. It's a graf shel literally means a dung. It means a clump of dung, which is that's muktza, because I don't think anybody's going to find any use for it, okay? But can you move that on Shabbos? So there's a special dispensation for anything that's disgusting, that even though it's muktza, you're allowed to move it out of the way, right? That's the heter to take out the garbage, because garbage is graf shel, garbage is disgusting. So if therefore you're allowed to move the garbage out of your house. But what's interesting is that this is more negate to Yom Tov, because Shabbos is not usually garbage pickup, but at least in New York City, where you got to bring the garbage to the curb. Now your garbage is already outside, right? On Yom Tov. Let's say you took your garbage out first day Yom Tov, you put it outside to the side of your house, and now the garbage going to come in the next morning. Can you bring your garbage out there? It's not really simple that would be mutter, because it's already out of your house, so it's sitting on the side of your house. What's you have to move? It's muktza. Yeah, all you're going to say, it's disgusting. It's not disgusting on the side of your house. It's not in your house, unless you hang out on the side of your house and it disgusts you. The only other heter maybe is if you need the place to put in more garbage, so then that would be a reason, right? But meaning garbage is not mutter. Garbage is muksa. So it's only allowed to be moved because it's graf shel. So what the Gemara is saying here is that the Rebbe was talking about these ashes in this pail, and not pail or whatever, the shovel that could be moved. It's only because the ashes were disgusting, so therefore you're allowed to move the ashes with the shovel. What are you saying, Sro? You don't want to say anything? All right.
Is there a nafkamina between Sukkos and other Yom Tovim because we're outside already?
Could be if you Sukkos near the garbage. Yeah, 100%. That's a good point.
I was thinking you haven't driven by my house and see how much garbage my family produces. But if you remember, based on how much we intake in the summer, then you can imagine how.
No, so that's it. If you need the place, then you could take it out. But Stam, you can't move garbage. I don't want to get into this whole thing, but to take the garbage can to the table, a lot of people, when they're cleaning up the table, instead of going round and round, bring it back to the kitchen. So what they do is they bring the garbage can to the dining room and they put everything in there. That really is not so simple, la halacha, because the garbage can is muktza, right? So therefore,
we do a lot about tashkas.
What?
Whatever, like me, and you do a lot about tashkas.
So there's good food in the garbage. Problem is that once it goes into the garbage, at least most people are not eating it.
I think lead of wine is edible.
Okay.
I mean, this is the same
sitting next to you. Ask the person sitting next to you if that's true.
Yeah. So what are you saying?
It's the
Graf
same
shel
thing as shel
would
shuddis,
apply
no?
to dishes also, clean the
Same thing as shel shuddis, yeah. Yeah.
It's the same thing. I'm saying this is why we don't clear the table after shel shuddis, for the same reason why. Because
Well,
the only
that's really more of a preparation type situation besides that. Yeah, but that could be, yeah. But preparation also, you're preparing for after Shabbos.
You gotta start having a longer shel shuddis.
And so the typical reason why you're allowed to clear the table after Suda Rishon and Shni is because you're going to still be using it the rest of Shabbos, but afterwards it becomes graf and it's disgusting, but you have no reason to be able to move it, it becomes muktza.
Correct, yeah.
Right, it's the same thing.
From Zebo, what do you want to say?
Graf shel the dishes, that's why you'd be allowed to wash the dishes on.
Same thing, yeah. Theoretically, it would all become muktza. Same thing with peanuts, shells, pistachio shells, peanut shells, egg shells, all those type of things. The only heter to move them is because they're disgusting. But if it doesn't bother you with your shells on the table, right, which most males could care less about that, then really it's not it's not a graf shel, it's muktza for you to move. But anyways, that's graf shel.
That's why I always make my wife
When you're eating pistachios,
yes,
and you take the shells off, you have in mind that you don't want to keep it on the table. Can I help it anyway? You put it there as a temporary place to move it.
No, once you're done with pistachio shells, that it becomes muktza.
Means you can't play with it,
Well, if you play with it as a toy, you like it, so then maybe.
You don't want to play with it. You want to put it on the table and then you want to pile it up later and throw it out.
Yeah, so that it's muktza. It's muktza when it's on the table. It's muktza.
Isn't something that's prepared not muktza?
But it's not prepared.
You're saying you want to eat it, and then you want to pick it up and put it on the thing. Right now, when it's a pistachio, you're holding the nut. It's not muktza. It only becomes muktza after it stops holding the nut. But while you're doing
no, really, it's muktza from before. It's just you have a reason to go to open it up to get the seed or the pistachio.
So how do you clean your table afterwards? It's not disgusting.
Exactly. So I just said that's why your wife has to clean it, like Sroel said, because for her it's disgusting. For you, it's perfectly fine. You go to sleep, let her clean, because you tell her. For you, it's not disgusting.
Yeah, then I'm coming to sleep in your house.
Yeah, don't do that. You can do it. You can do whatever you want, Naftali.
Look at that.
Look at that. There's no way to prepare it and stuff that you can that part of you actually.
Okay, but this is not where the sugya is. This is not the ikar sugya, but that is what graf shel is. Yeah, but we'll discuss it when we do more muktza throughout the Masechta. By the way, there's no Perek. It's interesting. Muktza is like the major din of Hilchas Shabbos, right? Is muktza. That's probably the most common thing that we're busy with, and there is no Perek about muktza in Shabbos. It's just spread throughout. It's spread throughout the Masechta, right? So okay, weiter. So Amar Rava, shtei tshuvas bedavar. I have two answers, meaning what here tshuva normally means an answer. Here the tshuva means a question, meaning he has two questions on Abaya. Again, Abaya said that the reason why Rebbe allowed to move the ashes is because it's a graf shel. It's disgusting. So Rava says I have two answers, which really means these are answers to Abaya's answer, which means that Rava is asking a question. I hope I didn't take something simple and make it sound complicated, right? But basically, tshuvas here means questions, right? Chada graf shel mois v'hai mois. A graf shel is disgusting. This is not disgusting. It's just ashes, right? Void graf shel migli v'ha michsi. This is why parrots we were getting into what type of shovel it is. Graf shel is open. This is covered. Right, because it's got the top. The pan, this pan or shovel has a top to it. So why is it disgusting? Just keep it covered and finish. It doesn't bother you.
So if you have a garbage can cover you the same problem then.
That's true. You would not be able to if you have a garbage can in your kitchen with a cover on it and it doesn't smell. Then what's you have to take out the garbage unless you need the space to put in more garbage and it's already full.
But why is that a reason? That's not a reason. We don't say that to talk gufim come is only for a klishma.
No. But you need the spot because otherwise you're going to have another graf shel.
So when you have the next graf shel open, then you should be able to take that one out. But the original one you should probably still have to leave there.
You could take it out because that is otherwise you're going to have a backup of graf shel. Where are you putting the other garbage? Where are you putting the new garbage?
Not in that garbage can.
But you don't have a place to put it. Right?
So what? I thought the whole header only...
So Yaakov, what you're saying is that when you take the garbage out of the can, you tie it up. For guys, it becomes muktza because they don't care if it sits there. So the women
Correct.
have to take out the garbage.
Well, you can do it on behalf of the woman, Peretz. You can do that. Yes, you can do that. Yes.
I
Yes,
have
what I
another
said
heter
before, I
that
was
I don't
kidding.
use the
You
hair.
could also
Psak.
clean up. Yes, you could also clean up the table on behalf of the woman. Yes, that wouldn't hurt. That wouldn't hurt to do some chesed for your wife. Yes. Yeah. I didn't even get into the big chumras, like those that have those drawers, those that have the drawers with the garbage cans. In the kitchen, you have the drawer. So that drawer is a basis l'davar aser, like we're discussing, because the garbage is muktza, and it sits on the drawer, and that's the only thing the drawer is for the garbage can. So how do you ever open up the cabinet and pull out that drawer, which is not a
Don't tell me
simple
the
thing.
guys that put the tuna cans in are real.
That's exactly why the guys put the tuna fish cans
like
on
a
those
spoon or
drawers.
something.
I took that out. When I first moved in, someone told me I thought he was nuts.
I used to
Okay,
put
well-
them when I used to be from. I used to put a spoon or something like that.
Okay, the simple thing to do is
leave it
you just
open,
put a
Israel.
can. You put a can.
Swell, and then you went to work.
Then you put a can of tuna fish there, and the can of tuna fish is worth more than the garbage. Now there are those that say, Naftali, that are
Naftali
garbage.
doesn't want to hear that his cabinets are.
Yeah, I have.
muktza.
This is what I have. I have a cabinet with the garbage. I have that.
Okay, so you're a fancy guy. So
It came
that's
from
what
Only if you have an exclusive cabinetry kitchen, then it's not muktza.
yes,
It came from Lakewood.
that's why the can of tuna is there. Yes, and there is a valid reason for it, believe it or not.
So my question is, what happens if your kitchen looks like mine, which is like a big, fat, giant graf shel?
No, it does not. But
Sroil,
he leases
Sroil,
garbage. Let
Sroil,
him keep the
I just
drawer.
want to let you know, Sroil, this is recorded, goes on the internet, and you're gonna have girls in shidduchim. You know what I mean?
So you're saying
You know
put
what?
the can of tuna in?
I'm creating my
Why
own
don't you keep
clients.
the drawer open?
There you go. Yeah, it's better to put it in there, but I'll tell you even one more, since we're getting totally sidetracked here, is even if you have those garbage cans, like you were saying, with the top on it that you press down.
Yeah.
How do you do that? That's also muktza. That whole thing, that whole contraption is a basis for the garbage. So it's a basis of davar asa.
Also,
What, the
why is
pedal?
that not picking money?
The pedal, yeah, the pedal is pressing. You're pressing the top, the thing flips open. That whole thing is muktza because it's a basis. It's a base for something that's muktza.
So we might as well get the electric one that senses your garbage and opens
Listen,
up.
why is it?
Then you have a bigger
why,
issue.
Hold on. Why is it a base? You don't. It's not holding anything up.
It's part of the garbage can. I'm just throwing out the chumras out there.
They also
You know
have
what I
those
mean?
garbages that you push
Since
it down.
there were those here that quoted this town around 80 miles south of here that they have outdoor minyanim, right? So therefore, we're going to have to quote all the chumras that come out of that town too. You know what I mean? You can't just take
In
the
that
coolest.
town, they don't do the step on garbage cans.
I can't tell you. They got somebody. We have a Lakewood representative. He could find out what they do over there.
He
But,
leases
throw
What
a
the
lot
about,
of
drawer
what about
in
those
your
open.
garbage
garbages that
can.
have the spring loaders
Yeah.
that you push it down and it pops open?
I don't know. It'd be the same thing.
Why is that not taking money? I thought the spring is a problem on Shabbos.
Okay. We're gonna get to that. That's actually in today's daf. So, okay, we sidetracked enough. Let's go back. Yeah. So anyway, that's Rava's kasha on Abaya, right? So it can't be graf sherei. Elamarava ki havina be Rav Nachman. When we were by Rav Nachman, having metatalin on kanuna agav kitma. We used to take this kanuna, which is I think the same sort of
Cold pan.
thing, the coal pan. Agav kitma. We remember we had the word kitma is ashes because of the kitma. V'afagav diikale shivrei eitzim. Even though there were broken pieces of wood on it, which the broken pieces here. The kitma is not muktza, and the broken pieces of wood are muktza. Right? Now, the reason why the kitma wasn't, what they did with the kitma, Rashi says they used to take it to cover over saliva because they spat. They spat on the floor. Like spat? Yeah? Spat on the floor, or they spat, whatever. They did. They used it to cover garbage, so therefore it wasn't muktza, but the wood, the little pieces of wood were muktza. So they allowed them because it's a basis of davar hetel, davar asa. So here too, he's saying there's little pieces of wood. Fine. Meisvei, so they asked the kasha. The shavin and they both agree. Shemi sheyesh bo shivrei psila. Shasel atalto. Right? They both agree that if there's broken pieces of wicks in it, then it's going to be aser. Now, Vashavin is referring to Reb Yehuda and Reb Shimon, meaning Reb Shimon agrees that if there's little broken pieces of wicks in it, then those are muktza, and you would not be able to even carry an old lamp. This is talking about in Galila, right? What's the problem?
No.
Galila Shanu, yeah? It's talking about in Galila, that for them it was chashuv. So therefore, it's not. For them, it was the broken piece of sila of wicks were chashuv to them, and therefore it's not. It's a basis. Yeah. Okay. Levi bar Shmuel ashkechinu l'Rav Abba l'Rav Huna bar Chia d'Avakami al Pischa d'Bei Rav Huna. Right. So Levi bar Shmuel was by Rav Abba, Rav Huna bar Chia, and they were standing on the doorway of Rav Huna. Amar lahu ma'u lahachsav mita shel tarsim b'Shabbos. Now this is a total new subject. Really, it's going back to a blot and a half ago when we discussed the menorah. Remember, we had the menorah in different pieces. So now this is a continuation of that. So if you have a bed of tarsim, right? So tarsim it doesn't really mean a bed. It means tarsim are smiths, the blacksmiths, and they would open up a table to work. So can you open up that table, sort of like folding a table, and unfolding a table, right? It's like a portable table. Can you put it together or not? So Amrulay Shaper Dummy. So they said to him, yes, 100%. You could take this table and put it all together. Also, look at Rav Yehuda. Amar ha Rav Shmuel. Not only are you not allowed to do it, but if you do it, you're mamash chayiv chatas, which they hold it's an issa daraisa to take these tables and put it together. Okay, so now we have a machlokes whether it's mutar or asur on Shabbos. So meisvei. So they asked the kasha, machzir kana menorah b'Shabbos chayiv chatas. If you put back, kana literally means a reed, but it means if you have a menorah that comes in pieces, sometimes you have these menorahs that come in pieces, and you attach different branches onto it. So if you put one of the branches onto a menorah on Shabbos, you chayiv chatas. Kana sayadin lo yachzir, but a kana of sayadin, you're not allowed to put it back. Ve'im hichzir potter alav asur, but if you did put it back, it's potter and asur, right? Now, what do you call it? Kana sayadin is how do you call it when you use to smooth out the walls? What's the name of that thing?
Plaster. You spackle.
Plaster.
Spackle.
That's what you're doing to the plaster. But this is the device you do. What are you doing? You're
spackling it.
You're spackling, but there's a name of that.
A trowel.
Trowel. Maybe a trowel.
Trowel.
Like
A little
that.
shovel.
Yeah. Okay. One of those things. So you have handles that go into it.
No,
right?
you have it's poles that you keep adding on.
Or a pole, right? You put on you stick a pole into it. So that lo yachzir, that you should not put the pole back into the thing, to the device, whatever it is. Vim hichzir potter. But if you did, then you potter. Potter aval asur. Potter aval asur. Reb Simai Omer keren agula chayiv. If it's a rounded keren, right? It's some sort of musical instrument, right? And it has holes in it. So if you a keren agula, if you do a rounded one, you're chayiv. Keren pshuta, if it's a straight one, then it's potter. Okay. So what do you see? Whatever it is, so you see that you put the piece back in, and you're going to be chayiv, right? Chayiv is saying chayiv chata. So what are you going to do with this case of the bed, right? So inu damri ki hatana the tani no. So they hold like this tana that says mal b'nois hamita. You took the legs of the bed and put it into something. Rashi says so that their floors are made out of dirt. So if you're going to put wood on top of the floor is eventually going to eat away at the wood. So you put it like into sort of like another piece. I don't know what it was made out of. Earthenware maybe, or maybe I don't know. It couldn't be plastic, wood, whatever. So it doesn't wear out the bed. That's mal. Can you put the leg of the bed into that thing on Shabbos, right? So this price says malvana samita ukara samita. Kara samita is also just the legs of the bed. Ulavachim shel skivas, right? This is an interesting Rashi here, right? It's called the little piece of wood that you put it into the bow when you go shoot a bow and arrow. So that little piece that you put in the middle that you can rest the arrow on it, right? I think Rashi, when he's talking about las, this is an albatross. It can be like an albatross. Is that what that means? I don't know.
They say bed sockets, bed legs, and crossbow nuts.
Crossbow nuts. Okay, crossbow. But I mean that thing that the way from Rashi, it sounds like where you put the arrow that it rests on the bow so that it goes straight. So that little piece to put it on there, right? Lo yachzir. So this price holds that all those things you should not put it back. Vim hichzir potter, and if you put it there, potter aval asa. Yeah, the lo yiska, and you don't stick it in. Yiska means Rashi says lo yiska strong. You don't put it in very strong. And if you did put it in strong, then you chayiv chatas. If you do all these things loose, then it is mutter. Not only are you not chayiv, but it's even mutter to do this. Okay? Well, let's just finish up to the Mishna, and then we'll get back to the halacha l'maisa we get out from this. Bei Rav Chama have a mita glalanisa. Right? So they had a meat like this type of bed, that like a folding bed. Have a mahadila b'yom tova. Have a mahadrila b'yom tova. Yeah, so they would put it out, meaning they would unfold it on Yom Tov. What's your das that it's a binyan min atzad? It's buying from the side. Okay, so it maybe since you're not doing it in the regular way, so it's not a deraisa, it's this is the rabbanon. So Amalei Anok Rav Shimon Gamliel. So he says, no, I can unfold this bed because I hold like Rav Shimon Gamliel. The Amar roughly mutter. If it's loose, then it's mutter. Okay, so this real sugya is later on, a bunch of blot from now, but from here, the halacha that comes out, the most practical halachas that come out with this is a folding table. Okay, that's simple, that's mutter. What about a pack and play? Okay, it's a very common question. Can you open up a pack and play? And that's tight, right? So the halacha is very clear that anything that's meant to be opened and closed on any sort of like it comes and goes and you're supposed to open and close it, then and it's not going to be like a permanent closing, and that's for sure mutter. That's for sure mutter on Shabbos. But
like a pack and play from Savers.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, but any pack and play, she left in it. She walked out of the room. But anyway, pack and play like that, right? Interesting question. Some people ask is, those dessert plastic glasses that you stick them into a base. You know what I'm talking about? That's like a champagne glass that's plastic. So the people ask that fairly often by simchas because they want to put them together on Shabbos. That's really not pashut to put together because that's permanent. You're putting them together and it's staying in it. It stays tight.
Even if the whole thing is made to be disposable?
Even so, but it's going to stay there it's going to stay there forever.
Disposable doesn't mean taken apart.
I'm not saying it's usher, but it's a shiloh, right? But, and then of course, the number one thing, and this is Nogeya now because people are trying to entertain their kids, and especially on Shabbos, what's with puzzles? And what's with, it's amazing how many people have asked about puzzles on Shabbos. It's unbelievable. And Stam, Lego for kids. So if it's Lego, that's, you don't get the fancy sets. It's just a bunch of different bricks. So then even for an adult, it's not a problem because it's, first of all, maybe it's not even tight. But even if it is tight, it's meant to be taken apart. But those good sets, where you build an airplane or whatever it is, and the kid's going to hold on to it for a while. So kids over bar mitzvah, really, it's better not to do that because we're talking about you're sticking in it tight, and it's meant to stay for forever. Now, my house, personally, I don't have an issue with the kids over mitzvah doing it because nothing stays in my house, no matter what. Right? That whatever that fancy Lego is going to be, it's going to be destroyed. If not within a day, within a week or two, for sure. Right? But if theoretically you have a kid that keeps all his Lego and keeps it intact, then it's really not simple based on this Gemara because you're putting it in tight and it's staying like that. Okay.
Why isn't this the same with puzzles? Why isn't the same with puzzles?
What about
puzzles? Puzzles is puzzles. Adults should not do puzzles on Shabbos.
Playmobil for sure.
I thought you just have to not finish the puzzle.
No, because the other pieces are going to stay forever. Now, maybe you want to say the puzzle's loose. Listen, there are makilim. The sugi.
But if you don't keep a puzzle in one piece, why does it matter? You build it, you look at it, you take it apart.
No, but even if you have a 1,000-piece puzzle, if you didn't glue it, it's not staying.
Puzzles are going to be a problem for buyer as well as you're looking for your pieces.
Right.
Well, yeah, you got to make sure you don't push the bad. Yeah, good point. You got to make sure you don't push the bad away. You got to take the good from the bad.
And also, you're making a picture. You're making a picture of words, no?
That's also an issue, but that's maybe not so. That's not because the holes they're still there, meaning there's cracks in between and whatever.
If you're intentional,
a child puzzle
around forever.
No, child puzzle for kids, it's no problem. I'm talking about for adults.
No, I'm saying let's say you're helping a kid with a child puzzle, like
I'm saying you're not coming apart. Yeah, that's going to come right back apart.
Well,
yeah,
all these from the 5-town shilas, they're giving me a complex.
I don't know. Phoenix is trying to get us something. So go, Phoenix. Go ahead.
No. I'm saying if you're going to take apart the puzzle, then are you allowed to?
Why are you taking it apart?
Because you don't care. You're just doing it for the amusement.
You're saying because you're a cheap guy, instead of buying a new one after you build that one, you're going to do this
No,
again.
no. You give it away to someone. You can.
I hear. Then
Are you
the
listening to
chayra,
this?
that's better. But if it goes in tight, like the Gemara is saying here, if it goes in tight, then maybe it's more of a problem.
I buy Walmart puzzles. They're not so.
They're not
the
so good.
Ravensburg
Yeah,
ones, you have a
understand.
problem. The Walmart ones, you don't have a problem.
Dollar Tree. How about Dollar Tree?
Forget it.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
a waste of a
What's
dollar.
the issue with the fancy Scrabble games? The ones with the Scrabble pieces go in there.
Oh, that's a
Same
ksiva
did?
issue. That's writing because you're putting it in. It's going to stay there forever unless you knock it out. See, a regular
That's a
Scrabble
writing
board-
issue. That's not a Lego issue.
No, it's a writing. As far as I know, it's a writing issue because it's sitting. It's since it's in those indentations, right? That's what you're talking about. It's like
Yeah.
this little. It has like these tracks that'll stay, right? But on a regular Scrabble, right? That's nothing because it's going to get taken apart for sure. Because it's as soon as somebody walks by and hits the table, like usually happens most of the way through the game, and the whole game gets messed up, right?
So why is
Yeah.
that any different than the puzzle that you take apart right away? You're going to take this apart right after the game is over.
No, but
Because you're saying it's a writing issue. You're saying
yeah,
it's writing.
but you're right. You're right. But the puzzle also is tight. This is nothing. It's loose. It's nothing. It's meant to come right back apart. Now, there's also going to be a different issue with Scrabble, having nothing to do with this, is that if you normally keep score of Scrabble, then you might have a gezer that you might write if you normally keep score, right? Okay, but
people do the things with the pages in the book, no?
right, they do the pages, right? They do the pages, yeah.
And what about like Rummy Cup? Is that a ksiva issue?
No, same thing because it's on.
No, but also ksiva though.
What?
Also ksiva.
No,
patterns.
it's not because it's the same thing as the Scrabble. It's not any. Has nothing to it. It's not considered. It's each separate piece, and it's not going to stay in any sort of permanence. Yeah. Okay. Bye. The Zog the Mishna. Nice and kli tachas haner. Right. We had this quoted before a few lot ago. Nice and kli tachas haner lekabel nitzayis. You're allowed to put a kli under a ner. Let's say it's dripping sparks, and you don't want it to ruin your floor. So you're allowed to put a kli under it to get the sparks. I don't want to say this is an important thing too, but it does come up a lot. Okay. And you can't put water, meaning you can't put water into the cup that the sparks are going to fall into so that it extinguishes the sparks. Because you're going to be over on mechaba. Which, I mean, there's an obvious question that's going to be on that is, what do you mean? You're putting the water there before Shabbos. I mean, if you're putting it there before Shabbos, so what's the problem? But we'll see that in the Gemara. So we're asked, right? Which is we had this 3 blot ago or 4 blot ago. By you putting the kli there, right, and the sparks are falling into it, so now you're going to make that kli muktza, which you're not allowed to do. No, since sparks have nothing to them, therefore it's not going to make the cup that it falls into or the jar that it falls into muktza. Fine. You can't put water into it because it's going to be extinguishing. Maybe let's say that this Mishna is like Rabbi Yossi. The Amar goyrim lekivoy aser. Rabbi Yossi holds to cause extinguishing to happen, it's aser. Meaning, the case by Rabbi Yossi is if somebody sees a fire going on in the house. Let's say chas v'shalom, something goes on fire in your house. So what do? Right? So there's a machlokes what you do. So what the Tanakh, I think it's a Tanakama there says that you take jugs of water and you put it around the fire. Obviously, we're not talking about such a big fire, and we're not talking about a sakana. But you have a little fire. So what you do is you put a jug of water where the fire is headed to, and then the fire hits the jug, and the jug of water spills all over the fire, and your fire went out. That's a grama, right? So that would be more to do. But Rabbi Yossi says you're not allowed to do that. So the Gemara wants to say that our Mishna must be Rabbi Yossi because it's saying that you're not allowed to have the spark fall into the water, right? You're not putting out the sparks falling into the water, right? So it must be that our Mishna is like Rabbi Yossi. Well, that it's aser. Again, le'matnan stomach Rabbi Yossi, damer garim l'kivoy aser, that causing kivoy is aser. And when it says v'tizbara aimer damer Rabbi Yossi b'Shabbos, the Erev Shabbos mi amar. When the Rabbi Yossi say this, that's to put the water under there on Shabbos. But if you put the water there from before Shabbos, then it's certainly no problem. And if you can say, well, okay, so this is talking about on Shabbos, not before Shabbos. But Tanya, nicely tachas and lekabon itzazis b'Shabbos. Ve'ein tzorich lemi be'erev Shabbos. We have a brisa that's similar to our Mishnah that says you're allowed to put a utensil under the ner, under the lamp to catch the sparks. And it goes without saying that on erev Shabbos that you're allowed to put the cup there, and you're not allowed to put water there. Erev Shabbos. And you're not even allowed to put water there on erev Shabbos. And it goes without saying that you can't put the water there on Shabbos, because you can't put the water there before Shabbos. Of course, you can't put the water there on Shabbos, right? So maybe our Mishna is like Rabbi Yossi, who the problem with that is we don't pass like Rabbi Yossi. Here, what you're doing, this is worse, because by the case where you're letting the fire hit the utensils and then full of water, and then they're gonna fall all over the fire and put it out, that's totally a grama. Here, you're doing more. You're actually making it go out even faster, meaning it's gonna go straight into the cup and immediately be put out. When you're putting a kli there, you're just putting a kli there full of water. First, the fire is going to come, melt the kli, and then the water is going to go. So it's an extra step. Here, you're having the sparks go right in and immediately be put out. That's too close. So even the Rabbanon who hold that you will be allowed to do this grama hold that you're not allowed. Now, obviously, we're not going to discuss the grama issue, but this comes up a lot with Shabbos clocks and all those type of things, of whether you're allowed to adjust Shabbos clocks on Shabbos, etc., etc. Okay, Hadron Alach Kira. Yeah, let's.
So Yaakov, this is al grama, or this is a gzera? It doesn't seem like it's real grama. It's not a grama. Rashi seems to imply it's gzera. We're worried that you're going to come to pour water on it and actually cause it to go out. Otherwise,
that's the teretz.
I'm just saying. Rabbi Yossi himself held grama as usher and Shabbos. That's the pshat of Rabbi Yossi.
Yeah.
He doesn't hold his also stama gzera also over there.
I don't think so. Maybe I haven't looked at it in a while. So it's only 80 blot from now.
I'm going to forget my question by then. Okay.
Make a little reminder on 80 blot from now on Daf Kuf Chav. Put into your calendar that you have this aura. It's a good idea, Taco. Put it in your reminder on 80. Maybe
Arsko should add that to their
That's a good Akiva, you're onto something there. That's a good idea. Anyways, okay.
Sorry about before. I had to step away for a second. What were you saying about the kitchen drawer, the garbage drawer?
For that, the kitchen guy himself went away.
Did I know you were going to talk about it? What did you say?
I was trying to take away business from you. I don't want anybody buying those drawers with the garbage anymore.
You just said I have to keep busy. And now you want to take away
those drawers that have garbage, so it's a basis l'davar aser. Because the garbage is muktza, so you can't pull out that drawer on Shabbos. So what you got to do is you got to put what do you call it? You got to put a tuna fish can there or something that's worth more than the garbage. I didn't say you have to. I don't want to say you have to. The Machmirim say that you should.
But not into the drawer. You have to put it into what comes out, what pulls out, the part that pulls out under the garbage can itself. You can't just put it behind the drawer to get to it. Right?
Whatever to make a difference. Whatever's being moved, the tuna fish has to be on that.
Tiago, is there a tuna fish can in your house, garbage can?
I don't have that.
It doesn't have a pullout.
I'm not so fancy, but I do have the garbage that the thing goes up. That I do. What do I do? Every Shabbos, I take a piece of wood and I wedge it open. I'm joking. I don't do that.
Israel keeps his drawer open.
Okay, Mommy
keep
says
my drawer open because there's no
door
room to close it, Ma.
He says because there's no room to close it because they make so much garbage.
Better to keep it open anyway.
Okay, Vita, it's getting late at the island. We're going to go to sleep. But anyways, Hadron Alakira. Yeah, fine. Next Mishnah. This one is not this Perek. Okay, it's important, but okay, whatever. I'm going to stop saying. Bamet Taimnin or Bamet in Taimnin. Hatmana, as we've discussed before, is called insulating. Right? So there's different ways of insulating on Shabbos. So what are you allowed to insulate with and what are you not allowed to insulate with? Ain't time, and this is just a bunch of translations here.
The wives are going to get frustrated with this if you're going to tell them about your pan thing.
What, the pan, which part? With the crock pot?
The Hatmana blanket can't go on the food. It has to...
we're going to discuss that, Jesse. We're going to discuss that. We'll tell you when to cut out, though.
No, my wife said, okay, fine. That's what I have to do. That's what I have to do.
All right, so we'll discuss that. Yeah. Okay. So by met time of which type of things are you allowed to be do atmana, which are you not? Meaning, some things add heat and some things just maintain heat. So, like we discussed, you're not allowed to insulate with anything that adds heat, even on Friday. You're allowed to insulate on Friday, though, with something that's just going to maintain. Okay, that's the basic rule that we have to know here. Again, if you're insulating something from before Shabbos, let's take a classic example. You don't want to leave your stovetop on. You're eating away Shabbos day, so you have no reason for a blech, and you're keeping your food in the stove, and you want to keep your soup hot. So what do? You want to just shut off the fire right before Shabbos. You want to insulate your soup, right? So you are not allowed, if you want to insulate it on Friday before Shabbos, you are not allowed to insulate it with something that will add heat. So let's say you want to wrap it in an electric blanket that's plugged in. That's also to do, even if it's before Shabbos and nothing's being done on Shabbos. It's a gezerah that you might mess with. You'll check on the hatman and it's going to be no good, and you're going to end up putting it back on the fire or mixing coals or whatever it is. However, you can wrap it in a blanket that will not add heat. It'll just maintain heat. So therefore, this Mishnah starts with which types of things add heat and which types of things maintain heat. Okay, so that's why we need to know the difference. Yeah. So therefore, what are you allowed to do atmana with, and what are you not allowed to do atmana with? Right. So this is obviously talking about before Shabbos, because this is obviously talking about doing before Shabbos is something that's going to add heat. Because if it's not adding heat, then it's no problem. So ain't time to like gefes. That's olive pieces that are after you squeeze it out. The loiba zevel, zevel is how do you call it? How do you translate zevel? Excrement or whatever it is. Loiba melach, not with salt. The loiba sid, not with lye. Sid they say is lye, right? The loiba chol, not with sand. Bein lach and bein yivation, whether they're moist or whether they're dry. The loiba tevin, and not with wheat. The loiba zagin, zagin is from grapes. The loiba moichin, and not with soft like cotton type thing. The loiba savan, not with grass. Bisman shein lachin. Those are all a problem when they're wet. Because when they're wet, they will add heat. But you are allowed to do atmana with them when they are dry. Okay, we can start the Gemara tomorrow, Bez Hashem. All right. Yeah.
So I'm assuming that I know it's just the Mishna over here. Are we suggesting that a wet towel is the difference between a wet towel and a regular towel if you're wrapping something around?
It could be. I don't know. Would you think it would make more heat with a wet towel?
I didn't think the things that we just listed in the Mishnah would make more heat.
Right, that's true.
It sounds like sounds like they're like maybe fermenting, and when they ferment and decompose, they create heat.
Is that so? That's a good shot.
If I'm not mistaken, a wet towel will burn your hand faster than a dry towel when you're holding something hot.
That's so?
Your water transfers heat more than the fabric.
Yep.
Well, that actually makes sense.
It doesn't mean that it raises heat. It's just a conduction issue.
When insulation gets wet, it loses its insulation.
Right. You lose more heat if it's wet.
Yeah, but that's a conduction issue. That's not a raising heat issue.
No, but that might
raise the temperature of the actual food.
It raises the temperature of the food. It lets it escape faster.
And
that's
this doesn't
exactly
make
the
a
opposite.
difference.
So it's the opposite. It's not a problem then.
And this doesn't make a difference if the food is fully cooked or not?
Doesn't make a difference. You're not allowed to do hatmana with anything that's going to add heat. No insulation things are going to add heat. Even before Shabbos.
So
that's the issue with the crock pot, which we're going to get into a different time. But
so why is putting something into an oven not hatmana?
So we're going to learn that. Well, stay tuned in this Perek, and you'll know why it's not.
No, you're not allowed to put
something that you can't do hatmana.
Tastes a little.
But you could leave it on the fire.
Shahia, yeah.
Right, but an oven is surrounded.
You're going to put it back on the fire, but yeah, you're allowed to leave it on the fire.
You're not allowed to put it back on the fire.
Right.
But you could leave it on the fire, yes.
So no, I once had a machlokes.
Only if it's fully cooked, though. What?
I once had a machlokes with Rabbi Felder. I said, I have a crock pot that I have to leave it on the highest. And if I put a piece of silver foil underneath it, not to be semicon kananyo, it's not going to cook.
Right.
He did not believe me.
You serious?
It was true. Yeah.
I hear.
It's not what I asked.
All right. I was macabre
Good
to
night.
try and go on my exercise bike after the shear, so I'm going to try and do that now.
Good.
Not
You
easy.
heard that?
Try.
Marco's training to go out with us when it gets nice out again.
Hey, you
No,
wish
I
it.
mean, he's been doing this bike for a long time already.
No, I
Yeah,
haven't.
but my
I
kid
stopped. My
said that-
first time was last night. My first legit time in
Jump.
like 6 months.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
see
heard
the
one of
thing
my
on the thing.
kids
You
say
should
that
jump rope.
the
Say
best
what?
jump roper
I'm
in
waiting
the
for my
world.
jump ropes to come from Amazon because I don't want to get it from a store because of, yeah. What are
No,
you saying?
I heard one of my kids recently say, just like a week ago, say the best jump roper in the whole world is Uncle Tzviakov.
There you go.
Wow.
At least I'm good for something, right?
Oh, I see. You did. I didn't get it.
Starts
I
with
didn't-
an exercise
You are, by
bike.
the way. You are the best jump rope I've ever seen.
How many jump ropes have you seen?
I've seen. I remember. I go to the gym.
Yeah, the reason why I look good is because you never saw anything that fat jump rope so fast. That's all.
No.
Naftali works in his Shran's neighborhood. He's seen great jump
I've
ropers.
seen jump
Mazel tov,
ropers.
everybody.
Okay,
Don't forget to count Zira.
Yago, did you see that video I sent you like 2 weeks ago?
About what?
The Hasidish Rav jump roping.
No, I don't know. You send me a video like that?
Yeah.
Can you send it to me? I want to see if it's close
Aaron,
to
I
what
was
the rabbi
getting all
does.
excited, Aaron.
Naftali, I'll send it to you.
Aaron,
I'll
get
send it
the
again.
camera on.
It was Ramata Frank jump roping. for
Aaron,
his
you
kid.
gotta get out, man. You gotta get
You
out.
serious?
A little bit.
I don't remember you send that to me.
I sent to, yeah. He was amusing
where's-
it. He posted, he told whoever was
He
to
wasn't
send it out
jump
to show that you can
roping.
amuse your kids during quarantine.
Oh, yeah?
That wasn't jump
Yeah.
roping.
It was jump roping.
Forget it.
By the way, the Costco thing worked. I used my badge today.